Welcome to Star Medicine Podcast, your weekly source for easy-to-apply astrology, energy, and divinatory practice to deepen and expand your being experience. Hosted by intuitive astrologer and Reiki 3 practitioner Jenifer Edwards.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back after a 2-week break. We've had some serious astrological occurrences happening over the last 2 weeks, and I hope all of you have made it completely unscathed, probably a little wiser, with some cycles broken, which is what exactly was on the menu for the last 2 weeks. Tonight we're going to be talking about your Natal North Node and how it relates to your life's purpose. I decided that this evening I would break it into 2 parts. So we'll talk tonight about how your North Node affects you when it lands throughout the houses. And then on our follow-up episode, we'll talk about what it means when the North Node is in the signs. And, of course, the North Node and the South Node are the dragons. So we have the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon. And whenever we're looking for our life's purpose work, we tend to have a lot of fear towards it. It's almost like there is a little bit of insecurity around whether or not we can do it. And this is the reason why I wanted to have this show, is so people could delve a little bit deeper into their birth chart and really kind of take a look at, what it is you are supposed to, or perhaps the energy around the guidance of this lifetime. We've been afforded so much time over the past year, whether we wanted it or not, to be sort of isolated from the world. And that really took a big chunk of time to become internal. And so when we internalize ourselves and we spend a lot of time with our own thoughts, if we took that time to do that, we can kind of get a little bit of introspection on what it is we want to do with the rest of our lives, what we've done with our lives so far, and what really is the meaning of us being here. And so when we kind of get the energy around what is going on in our birth chart, we're able to work on that and work through our fears, because our fears ultimately keep us from progressing. Big aha moment, right? I see we have some callers on the line already. I would like to try to get through at least 6 of the houses before I start taking callers, just because I would like to get this program started. So if you're on hold or you're thinking about calling, go ahead and give me a call on the line around 7:45 Eastern Time. The guest call-in number is 323-642-1188. And I can be found at thankgoddess.org, and you can write your questions to starmedicinepodcast@outlook.com. So let's begin our journey through the houses and the North Node. So a little bit of background behind the North Node. The North Node is where the eclipses were happening when you were born. So it's the nodal point. It has to do with the ecliptical ridge, and the North Node actually goes backwards in the birth chart. It does not go. It goes counterclockwise rather than clockwise. Is that right? Am I getting that correct? It goes clockwise rather than counterclockwise. Whenever I think in terms of versus an actual clock, it kind of messes with your brain a little bit. So the ecliptical ridge of the Earth, it kind of shows where the moon node is, and that's how you would be able to find it on your chart. The glyph looks like a little U shape with a T in it. Some of them are just the U. And sometimes in your birth chart, all you can see is the North Node. Now, with the North Node, the South Node is exactly opposite of it. So whether or not it is actually depicted by a glyph on your chart, it's very easy to find. Once you've found your North Node, the South Node is exactly opposite. Now, in this lifetime, this is represented by your North Node. So these are all the things that you are supposed to be moving towards, working towards, evolving towards. The South Node is the gifts that you bring from your last lifetime and what you were able to accomplish. And they feel very comfortable. And we tend to really retreat into our South Node whenever we start to feel insecure or unsure or fearful of the actions that we need to take to move forward in this lifetime. And so as we move through the houses, we'll start to see the interesting dichotomy between what it is you're comfortable with and what it is you're fearful of. And, it resonates with a lot of people when I read their birth chart when we talk about their node placements because, they do a lot of retreating. And when we retreat, we have gifts there, but we're regressing. We're staying complacent and we're not moving forward. And that's really what we need to be doing in this lifetime. So let's start with the first house. So if your North Node is located in your first house, then that would mean your South Node is located in your seventh house. So this is the relationship axis. The first house is how you present yourself to the world. It's your individuality. It's how you are in relationships with other people. And it's how you offer yourself. And with the North Node in the first house, this lifetime is really about finding your identity. It's about having no ties. It's about being an individual. It's about being who you truly are in your own power and also in relationships. Now, whenever we talk about the North Node in the first house, we have to talk about the South Node in the seventh house. In your past lifetime, you were a slave to your relationships. You probably were very codependent. You felt comfortable, have solace in relationships. People who have North Node, South Node, first and seventh house, they oftentimes find themselves in toxic relationships. They change themselves to mirror their partner. They feel they take on their partner's identity, or they do not feel whole without a partner. And when they do get into partnerships, because they feel at home in a partnership, they realize that there's something. So whenever they're working their North Node energy and they're feeling uncomfortable about being who they really are in a relationship, they retreat into relationship. So the axis of that is being uncomfortable and being in a partnership, or being comfortable and being singular. Now, the other way to look at this, of course, is to look at what relationships are to you. So you can be two separate beings. A healthy relationship is when there are two people that enjoy each other and they love each other's company. They respect each other. They look up to each other. They laugh together. And they look forward to being together. However, when it becomes unhealthy is when they have to be together. They need to be together. Their happiness is dependent on being together. And they have to do the same things all the time. And it doesn't have to be both. It can be one. This would be representative of a South Node in the seventh house versus a North Node in the first house. Having the freedom of being yourself, of being loved for who you are in a relationship, but also having the freedom of being you and being a separate entity outside of the relationship. First and seven. So moving on to the North Node in the second house, this is about security and intimacy. So when we have our North Node located in our second house, in this lifetime, we are looking forward to making our own prosperity, making our own security. Really finding what our self-worth is. In this lifetime, it's about redeeming yourself. And when I say redeeming and the redemption, what I mean is being able to really understand that your self-worth is the magnet for your prosperity. And that without your self-worth, that everything that you accumulate on the outside is sort of meaningless because the inside isn't full. So things that we would have anxiety about or things that we would be fearful about is lack of security on our own, being able to create our own security within ourselves, being able to have stability within ourselves monetarily, emotionally, and being able to really find sort of our meaning and our purpose and our worth in the work that we do, because the second house is our earned income. It's the house of salary. It's ruled by Taurus, so it's all of the materialistic things, but it's the things that we earn. So whenever we are faced with, if we have a North Node in the second house, whenever we're faced with the idea that we may have to, there's a chance that we might fail, we will retreat into the South Node. And the South Node in this instance would be in the 8th house. The 8th house is other people's money. It's sex, death, taxes. It's the mystic. It's the mystery. There's a lot of beautiful things about this house. Someone who has the South Node in the 8th house is reliant on other people's money. Perhaps in a past lifetime you came from wealth, and it scares you to work hard in this lifetime. Perhaps in the past lifetime you manipulated others with your sexuality for money. I mean, like, all of these things would come second nature. Magic, for instance, finding ways of utilizing others in a way that brings you prosperity, when really this is very singular. So marrying a rich husband or marrying a rich wife would fall into that sense of security, but it's not fulfilling your life purpose of making your own money, sustaining your own wealth, creating your own security. It feels very scary and foreign to you. But in this lifetime, when you move towards your fear, you become closer to inner peace, inner harmony, and purposeful work. We know what it feels like when we do purposeful work. Everything changes. Now, with the North Node in the 3rd house is about the student. It's also about communication. It's about short distance travel. There's some family in this house too. We can talk about siblings being in this house, and also similar relationships, but more so about communication. So when we have the North Node in the 3rd house, it really has to do with how we communicate and speaking our voice. It really has to do with how we absorb information, how we are able to comprehend and understand things. A lot of times when people have the North Node in the 3rd house, they tend to shut down, because this would involve public speaking, being heard, allowing your intellect to flourish, stepping down and becoming the teacher, and really discovering the world around you. When the North Node is in the 3rd house, the South Node is located in the 9th house. So in your past lifetime, what is comfortable, what you would retreat to, would be spirituality, theology, losing yourself in daydreaming, I guess would be a good way to put it, escaping, not staying with something, moving away, becoming a teacher of thought rather than teacher of knowledge. There's a lot of different ways that you can describe the 9th house. However, when we talk about South Node, it's really about escapism. Because probably in your past life you were a teacher and you attained great academia, and so it makes you feel uncomfortable to be the student again. Or perhaps whenever you were faced with, in your past life, you traveled a lot, you escaped a lot instead of being in the bubble. So when you are faced with being in a smaller container, the 3rd house, your retreat is to get out of Dodge. Your retreat is to keep going, to keep being on the run. And these are two very spiritual houses in very different ways. Gemini rules the third house. Sagittarius rules the ninth house. Gemini is the ruler of the mind, and Sagittarius is the ruler of the philosophical spirit. So the polarity of those two would indicate that whenever we have to delve into the confines of our actual knowledge and deliver it to a smaller space, it's very uncomfortable. And rather to just it's easier to just keep changing or moving ourselves into different realms or different groups, so that way we really don't have to explain our knowledge. It's kind of layman's terms on that. And the North Node in the fourth house. So the fourth house is the house of home, family. For my interpretation, it's the mother. I know that for other interpretations, the fifth house is the mother, but for me, the fourth house is the mother. It's also your childhood. It's where the Imam Coli starts the fourth house, which is the seat of the soul. So it's a very secure house. It's about security. It's about how you give emotion. Cancer rules this house. It's a very emotional house. On the opposite of that, you have the 10th house. The 10th house of career. Capricorn owns that. Fame, status, all of those things. So if your North Node is in the fourth house, your primary focus is on security. It's on having a family. It's, being able to create a home environment, being home, making a space where you feel secure, safe, really delving into your lineage, looking at your relationship with your mother, looking at your relationship with your grandmother, looking at the maternal lines in your family. When we feel uncomfortable, we retreat into the 10th house, and this is where we find the workaholic. In your past lifetime, you worked all the time, probably did not have a family, or you were not home very often. This is where you escape to avoid your family. In this lifetime, your energy is to be focused on creating a home within you rather than escaping that into the workplace. I find that people who have a North Node in the fourth house oftentimes are workaholics, and they avoid anything to do with the failure or the potential. This is really what it's about, the potential failure of creating an environment that's safe for them. So what's safe for them is what they know, and what they know is to lose themselves in their work, the South Node. The fifth house is the fifth house of creativity, children. The fifth house is the performer, and it's the house of childlike joy. So when we find the North Node in the fifth house, it is the ideal. So if the fourth house is the mother, and the fifth house also represents the mother too in some schools of thought. And I do have to interject here because my North Node is in the fifth house. And I have been really avoiding my North Node duties for a better part of my life, because of a lot of fear. The North Node is about really letting your creativity shine, really showing true love to people without the expectation of receiving. And understanding that rejection comes with that. And I will tell you that love is something that if it's not given without expectation, then you are not actually giving love. You are giving something that requires something in return. So that might be something to look at. However, with the fifth house, motherhood also follows here, especially if your moon is in the fifth house as well, like mine is. So being a mother, being close with children, and remembering being a child and going back and communicating in the love language of children. Children communicate through energy. And when we really work with that energy, we make these deep, deep connections with them, especially because they're so they're so full of joy, and they are untainted for the most part. So it's really easy to connect with them when you're able to, whenever you tap into this energy. Now, the opposite side of this, the South Node, is the 11th house. And the 11th house South Node is all about manifestation. It's all about hopes and wishes. It's all about friends. It's all about groups. It's all about the collective, social circles. And so oftentimes instead of working on ourselves, North Node, fifth house people, we start working on the people that are around us and seeking outside of ourselves in order to feel joy rather than inside of ourselves, which would be the fifth house. So in a past lifetime, manifestation came very easy to you. Also in a past lifetime, friendships and friend circles became very easy to you, and also to be able to identify the problems of others and being able to provide medicine for that. And so whenever it comes to dealing with your own stuff, your own pains and sorrows, your own blocks, instead of focusing on that whenever it gets too fearful or you feel scared and inadequate, you completely project yourself into 11th house duties. And, you're really good at it. It's just that it keeps you from doing what you need to do. And this is really what this is about. Our South Node is what we're really good at, but we've already done it. And our North Node is what we are here to do in this lifetime. So sometimes we can sling some of those gifts forward into our North Node spot. If you're a fifth house North Node with 11th house South Node, through clarity, through your own emotional clarity, you can manifest anything into being. And, that there's no fear in that. And then the sixth house North Node is very interesting because the sixth house is the house of the healer. It's also the house of service to others. So in this lifetime, this is about the body. This is about being with the people. One of my teachers who I love to listen to her speak used to talk about how the sixth house North Node had to do with the village. And so being amongst the people and serving the people, sharing knowledge with people. And the South Node, 12th house, had to do with being the guru on the top of the mountain, looking down at the people, and not looking down at the people from an egoic kind of way. It was more like looking down at the people because they went off in solitude to find their spiritual awareness. And so in this lifetime, when you have the North Node in the 6th house and you have the South Node in the 12th house, you want to retreat in solitude. That is what makes you most comfortable with your spiritual gifts. And in this lifetime, you got to come off the mountain and serve the people. And it's really about being with others. You heal others by being with others and connecting with others. This is a huge part of your soul purpose in this lifetime. Whenever we feel uncomfortable, we tend to dip our toe in and then retreat, and dip our toe in and then retreat, and that's okay. Breaking fears is a huge cycle that we all go through our entire lives. At this point in my lifetime, I realize that every time I get through something major, I feel a massive release, and I also feel like I found deeper purpose in why I'm here and why things exist. And that doesn't mean that down the road I won't find myself in another place, but I have more tools to bring with me on this road, more understanding, and more breaking of will. I mean, a lot of this has to do with our will, and our will to not move forward because we're comfortable where we're at. and we have to grow, and growing sometimes is uncomfortable. But when you have a North Node in the sixth house, the sixth house I have my sons in the sixth house, so I am a service to others person. I love to be around people. I have to retreat to recharge. That's one of the things about having a son in the sixth house is that I give all of it away, and then I have to get it back internally. So that's the axis of 6 and 12. The 12th house is retreat. The sixth house is giving. So that axis is very special. It's very much about service. And it actually reminds me a lot of the third and the ninth house as well. There's a lot of medicine in that axis. We are coming up on 7:25. We have 2 callers. I'm going to run a commercial break, and then we'll come back and say hi to some of the callers we have waiting on the line.
Welcome to Heart Over Ego Radio, a collection of podcasts designed to enhance your spiritual journey. Join us on Mondays with the Alchemy Sisters and Creating Heaven on Earth. Tuesdays, Star Medicine Podcast and KT Talk Show. Wednesdays, Political Star Talk. Thursdays, the Optimistic Wellness Podcast. Fridays, Turn Yourself In, Self-Mastery for the Intuitive Sensitive Empath. And The Witching Hour, as well as Horror Magic, a show designed to heal stigma around sexuality. Saturdays, Seen and Heard, a podcast about abuse. And Shining the Light on Sex Trafficking. And Sundays, Gather Round for One for All Is Love with Sonia Spirit. We are Heart Over Ego Radio. Find us on any podcast app, Facebook and Instagram. Search Heart Over Ego Radio.
Welcome back, guys. I just wanted to let you know how you can find me. You can find me at thankgoddess.org, and also on Facebook and Instagram. I am on Thank Goddess as well as Star Medicine Podcast. If you would like to write me an email with a question and your birth information that you'd like for me to answer on the show, please send me an email at starmedicinepodcast@outlook.com. And I also would like for you to go ahead and check out optimisticwellness.com. It's a collaborative for ascending souls. It's something that I've been working on very hard for the past year with 3 other beautiful, magical women, and we help women try to find their purpose. And it's really been a fun project. We do have a free soul retreat that you can check out, and it's a 5-day do-it-yourself intensive. Do it whenever you have the time, and it's absolutely yours for free. Again, that's optimisticwellness.com, and that's optimistic with a Y. So let's go ahead and take our first caller. Let's see if I remember how to do this. I'm going to hit the microphone here. Hi there. This is Jenifer from Star Medicine Podcast.
It's such a delight to be on. I'm amazed.
How are you?
I've been listening. I'm wonderful. And I love astrology, too. And I've been looking at charts since 1968. So what I, like you, first thing I always go is look at their North Node and the Saturn. And I learn a lot about the person.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What's your name?
So my North Node, want me to tell you where it is?
Sure. Well, what's your name?
Oh, sorry. My name is Eileen.
Hi, Eileen. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you. Life is good.
Happy new moon in Scorpio.
Yeah. What degree is it? Do we know?
Your North Node. Oh, what it was 23 degrees on the 15th.
That's conjunct my rising sign. 7th house.
Well, this was on the 15th, but it was such a powerful weekend leading into that new moon and the big release from that new moon. I just like to say to everybody every time I see them, Happy New Moon, because it was so great when it happened. You know. So let's talk about your North Node.
So, but I have 23 Taurus rising, so that's perfect. Okay, so my North Node is at, I think it's 13 degrees Pisces in my 11th house, and I believe my part of fortune is up there too.
Well, so as you know, that when you have your North Node in the 11th, well, we're talking about houses tonight, but we know how mystical and magical having your North Node in Pisces is. Obviously you're here to do spiritual work through manifestation, and it's really what you're supposed to be doing. So what are you doing for being in the public? How are you manifesting things into your life?
Oh, I've been a professional artist since I'm 13. Painter of color.
And that's wonderful.
And
are
nature
you,
and Mother Earth.
And
am I what?
Now, how do you feel that you are following your 11th house North Node?
Oh, because I'm international and I travel the world, and I teach people about their inner selves with their harmonies of color and magic that goes from within, which is a healing, transformational process. Mm-hmm. But I don't do it through abstract. I do it through very close relationship with Mother Nature. I live in the tropics a lot, so I travel since 1968 in the Caribbean, and then I go to Europe, and I bring it back to the cities, because I grew up in New York City. So I had to leave the concrete jungles to go to the green jungle so that I could show people how beautiful they are inside.
Oh my gosh, you are a representation of someone who is living their purpose and understands exactly what that means. Listen to you. I can hear it in your voice.
Thank you. I love it so much.
You're welcome.
And I get a lot of visions in the morning before I wake up. God gives me pictures to paint, and then I do them. I just follow, because I'm an obedient servant. I have that relationship with Spirit. So I do what Spirit tells me to do, and I go to the beach and I do a painting, and then I win awards. So I always give thanks all the time.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for calling and sharing your wisdom. I love it when people are that really understand what they're doing and allow for Spirit to come in, especially with that North Node in Pisces. Yeah,
and because it's 13 degrees, you know anything about the star signs, right? 13 is one of the star numbers. Yeah. So
I'm at 2 degrees, and so it's really being open to listening, because a lot of times what happens is that people shut that out, and they tend to listen to logic.
Oh yeah.
Instead of allowing Spirit to come in.
Well, until they do that, they're going to still find chaos and confusion and suffering in their lives.
Absolutely.
Because there is no ego in Spirit. It's only joy and love and flow.
You know what I would really love? If would you mind? Do you have the email address to the podcast?
I'm online right now, and I see here thankgoddess.org, and then I have Star Medicine Podcast. That's on.
Yeah. So if you go, so the email address is starmedicinepodcast@outlook.com. Would you mind sending me some of your art? I'd really like to see it.
Yeah, I would love to. That would be my joy.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah,
okay,
I would love
just
that.
Write
that
this
would
down.
So happy.
Star.
Yeah.
Medicine Podcast at Outlook.
Yeah. .com.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Blessings.
Thank you, Irene.
We are the rainbow.
Yes,
we are all the rainbow.
Thank you for calling. So wonderful to talk to you. Have a wonderful night.
I want to keep listening, because I was looking at all my friends and family charts, and I was going through them. And when you got on number 2, that's definitely 2 of my friends have that issue for sure. So I want to see
I'm going to round the corner. I'm going to round the corner with the 7th house and do the exact opposite, so that this will be fun. The remainder of the evening will be a good time for you.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, and I'll write to you.
Have a great
Thanks
night.
very much, Jenifer.
Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Hi there. This is Jenifer at Star Medicine Podcast. Who am I talking to?
My name's Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
I'm good. Do you need my birthday?
Sure.
Apparently,
what would you like to ask? I've got
I'm going to.
Well, right. It does say your purpose. And so we're halfway through the purpose the purpose accesses. So you know what, I'll take a peek at your chart really quickly and then I'll move on so that way you can listen and I can find where your North Node is and then you can listen along. So let's see, Debbie, let's go ahead and put your information in here. Give me just 1 second.
Sure.
And Debbie, when's your birthday?
1963.
And what hour were you born?
12:45 p.m.
And where were you born?
Biloxi, Mississippi.
And where are you living now?
I live in Louisiana, New Orleans.
Oh, so you stayed south?
No. I lived in South America and California, mostly in California.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's pull up your natal chart here. Wow, you've got a big year coming up. Do you ever look at your chart, Debbie?
Yeah, I did a few times. I know that I was told that like more things would happen in my later life than in my early, like more, like I had kind of a tough life early and that it would get better when I was older.
Yeah. Well, I mean, North Node aside, which I'll get to in a second, you have Uranus conjunct your IC, which means like a lot of anxiety in the home, perhaps moving a lot, not feeling safe all the time. And then you also have Pluto, natal Pluto, within 7 degrees of Uranus, which would be indicative of a lot of tumultuous activity within the home. Whether or not that was from a parent. Did you leave at a very young age? Or did you want, obviously you probably wanted to leave, but.
Yes, oh my gosh, yeah. As soon as I could, I did. But, alcoholic father and the mother not handling it well. Yes.
Yeah,
left
totally.
As soon as
I can
could.
see that. I can totally see that. Did you have children?
No, I never did.
You wanted children?
Totally aversive to it, but it wasn't like a strong desire.
Well, your moon is located in the 5th house. And so I think that you probably, do you mind if I talk about this on a podcast?
I really don't,
you
and that's, I think
you
something's wrong with me, but I don't care.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of I think you probably would have, from what I see in the chart, I think it probably would have been something that you wouldn't have minded, but I think that you needed to have the security in order to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And
absolutely.
So, yeah. Now, so I just want to bring up one thing because I think it's very special. So you just experienced the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction in your 8th house, which is all about breaking cycles. And I hope that the last 3 weeks you made it out to the other side. It was a very traumatic experience for me over the last 3 weeks. I actually have this happening in my chart right now. But it was actually on the cusp of partnerships and intimacy and, how we react in those and where our self-worth is and all of those things. And so it sounds like you're good. And I think you came out the other side with your skin shed. Is that correct?
Yeah. Like
you're reborn? Because I was reborn,
yeah.
I'll tell you. It's like I woke up Monday and I was a brand new fucking person. Oh, sorry, pardon my French. It was.
Well, that would have been
insane.
today that I woke up.
Yeah.
But the last 2 previous days were like going through hell mentally.
Yep. I hear you, sister. I've been in the same place. Anyhow, so real question here. North Node, okay. So your North Node is located in the 2nd house. So it's at 29 degrees Cancer, which is really interesting. The 29th degree is a very important degree because it's the very end of the sign. It's getting ready to jump. So it's a degree that holds all the information of the sign. So at the end of Cancer, it's almost like you have this emotional with the North Node there, you have this huge emotional capacity, and you can actually read people really well. Now, with that being said, when we have the North Node in the second house, it's about making your own security and not relying on other people. And so for the longest time, now, when we look at what was going on in your childhood, it would seem that you probably would want to make your own security, but really for the longest time, and I think the cycle you just broke is that you don't need anyone to make you feel secure. And so the North Node, South Node in your chart is the North Node in the second house is creating your own security, your own foundations, and inviting someone to enjoy that rather than seeking it out and having it be someone else's responsibility to make you feel secure.
That's exactly
Does
right.
Does that resonate with you?
Oh,
so,
does it ever? You hit it.
We all go through it. You know what I mean? We all go through it. And I was going.
I didn't know about it ahead of time. I don't know if I would have gone. You know what I mean?
We never do. We never know about it ahead of time. And actually, the reason why it's so special is that after we go, the reason why astrology to me is so affirming and special and like decoder ring in the sky. It's not so much about being Miss Cleo and trying to predict the future. It's trying to understand the energies. And we find the things out when we're supposed to. Everything happens when it's supposed to. We have our awakenings when they're supposed to. And a lot of times we don't understand these things ahead of time because had we known, we would doubt them and perhaps shut down, right? And not learn these lessons. But when we go back in time and we look at them now, they're so much more affirming. And you say, what was going back in 2000? Oh, these eclipses were here. Oh, my God, this is what this means. That's exactly what was happening. So all of a sudden we discover there's this energy system that we can work with, So I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. I'm going to talk about the rest of the axis, but for you to know, you have your North Node is located at 29 degrees Cancer in your second house, and your South Node is at 29 degrees Capricorn in your 8th house.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that clear my purpose in a way?
What does that mean? What do you mean?
Well, I was always told I was a healer, and I don't know what that looks like, exactly.
Well, when we talk about where's your sun? Okay, so your sun's located in your 9th house. You are. Everybody's a healer, first of all. Second of all, whether or not you believe you can, which I mean, this is not like a Tony Robinson pep talk thing, but with you and your North Node, it's about believing in yourself. The second house is about security. It's about financial security. It's about inner security. It's about knowing your worth. When you learn your lessons about self-worth and what that means, and attaining that is what you'll be teaching and healing other people with.
Okay. That makes sense.
When we learn our own lessons, when we heal our own wounds, we then become the teacher. We're no longer the student.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so you're moving in that direction, especially after this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, Debbie, it was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
And please call back again. I would love to hear. And also, if you ever have a question, please write me an email at starmedicinepodcast@outlook.com, and I'm happy to read your question over the air and look at your chart.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I've been ready, but then you think it's not going to happen until it happens. That's why you look at your chart. So that was amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was amazing to talk to you. Okay, bye.
Thanks.
We'll take one more caller. Hi there, this is Jenifer from Star Medicine Podcast. Who are we speaking
Hello,
with today?
I'm Donna. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm okay, thank you. Do you need my birth date or anything?
Sure. What would you like to know, Donna?
Oh, I would just like to know about a relationship I was in. Do you see, is anything going to come out of it after all the trials and whatever, however you say that? Do you see how it's going to end up?
Okay. When is your birthday?
4/21/62.
Okay. And what time were you born?
7:02 a.m., I think.
Okay. And where were you born?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay. You know, Philadelphia, there's one of those cities. Philadelphia is not that hard to spell, but I think Cincinnati was harder to spell than I realized on the spot. All right, let's take a peek at your natal chart. And let me look at your transits here. Oh, well, of course, you've got relationship stuff all over the place happening. Okay, so let's take a look at where the eclipses are landing. So are you familiar? Have you ever had an astrology reading before?
Not really. Just the ones, you see in the paper. It'll say your horoscopes and stuff like that.
Sure. So your sun is at 0 degrees Taurus. So you're just making it over the line from Aries to Taurus, okay?
Yes.
And you probably read Taurus in the newspaper. I would urge you to start reading Gemini, as it will probably be more accurate to what's going on, even though your sun isn't there. There's a longer explanation to that, but just trust me.
Okay.
Reading Gemini will help you get a more accurate forecast, okay? But a lot of there's several different charts. So like if you read your sun sign, which is Taurus, and you read your moon sign, which is Scorpio, and you read your rising sign, which is Gemini, you're reading off of 3 different charts, so to speak. That's for a whole other show. I don't want to confuse you, but anyhow, for the short of it, read Gemini. And with that being said,
okay.
the eclipses that started in June started the Gemini-Sagittarius axis, which are repeating from 9 years ago. So the eclipses run in cycles every 9 years, and they repeat their same degrees in ecliptical degrees every 19 years, 18 to 19 years. So what's going on now in your life is reminiscent to, let me do some quick math, 2001, 2002. I think it's 2001. So you want to look back to the winter of 2001. And I want you to really think about what was going on back then in regard to relationships and in regard to your attachment to relationships, okay? Because I see you have a Scorpio moon. I have a Scorpio moon. You become attached, and that's not a bad thing. You're actually very psychic too. But Scorpio moons have 2 ways of feeling. They're either really, really happy or they're not.
Yeah.
Usually I have a visual depiction of like being way up here or way down here. Now, the way to mastering a Scorpio moon is to ride the middle wave and to really understand why you're having these, huge swells of feeling in either direction. And so for me, I love to feel. I have a lot of Pluto in my chart, so I need to feel. And when I see a Scorpio moon in somebody else's chart, you need to feel. You need to feel all the feels because that is what you crave. Back to your question about the relationship, okay? So you're going to find some cookies, some nuggets of intuition here by going back to the winter of 2001. And this is probably going to find its way into where you're at in your relationship now, or whatever's going on in this relationship. So the 1 in 7 axis is lit up in your chart. You'll be experiencing the first eclipse on November 30th in your first house, which is the house of self and how other people see you. So whether you've been thinking about changing your appearance, whether you have been thinking about changing your role in your relationships in general, not just your romantic relationships, like who you are, and who you are to other people, how much you're willing to give of yourself, how authentic of yourself you are giving. These are all things that will come to light. It will also be, because it is a lunar eclipse on the 30th, it is probably, you're probably going to see an ending. So it may have something to do with removing yourself from a situation, right? Understanding your self-worth and not wanting to continue in something that's broken. So look back to 2001. The winter of 2001 and see how it kind of measures up to this eclipse, okay? Now, when we move into December, we're going to have a solar eclipse. This is going to happen on the 14th of December. It'll be at 23 degrees Sagittarius. For you, 23 degrees Sagittarius lands in your 7th house of partnerships. This is a new beginning. I don't know if it's going to be with this person that you're talking about. Part of me feels like either something is going to end within this partnership, meaning it can end the way that it exists now and then can restart into something different, or you are going to move away from this and start something new. Looking at other things going on in your chart, you went through a really tough time this weekend with the Pluto-Jupiter conjunction in your 9th house, where, you really had to take stock in what you thought you believed. Does that resonate with you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so moving forward, I think you had an epiphany over the weekend, and I think it really had to do with, how you want to move forward as you, Donna, right? When we look at relationship stuff, Mars just went forward in Aries. It's in your 11th house. You can manifest whatever you want right now, girlfriend. So you really got to be really, really on the ball with all your positive thinking. Now, Scorpio moons tend to really focus on what they don't want. And so let's start focusing on what you do want, okay? Let's start really focusing on what you do want, because that is what you're going to call in. Venus is moving through your 6th house of healing, service to others, and your lifestyle. So, chances are you have been wanting to really kind of invoke your goddess spirit, okay? It's time for you to invoke the goddess, if that makes any sense. You have your moon conjunct Neptune. Is it okay if I tell you something personal over a podcast?
That's fine. Tell me anything. Sure.
You really want to be careful about self-medicating. I know that you feel... And that's self-medicating with partnerships too. I have Neptune conjunct my sun. You feel so deeply and so intensely, like no other person, that going outside of yourself to find relief is going to slow down the process of rebirth. And when we can sit in the dark and feel all the feels, even if it takes 2 weeks or a longer period of time, when we get through it, we are reborn and we evolve emotionally. And for us, Scorpio moon is all about the phoenix rising from the ash. It's all about complete and total, utter ground floor and then rebuild. That's just we are death and rebirth emotionally all the time, and that's how we evolve. So for you to have Neptune so close, you're really in love with love. You're really in love with anything that will help you escape pain. So you want to be very careful. I mean, you already know this in your lifetime, but maybe perhaps using that energy to share love with others in a very magical way, in a very healing way. When you have your moon located in the 6th house like you do, you are a healer, and you do heal through your love. You ever notice that people that are broken are attracted to you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because you're a healer. But you got to heal yourself first.
Right,
So,
because
with
I've
that
been
being
trying
said,
to look for. Yeah.
Yeah. So with Venus rolling through your sixth house, this is the time for you to really start taking care of yourself. Make time for yourself. Take care of yourself. Put it in your schedule. Don't run yourself ragged to take care of everybody else. Everybody thinks that these are selfish acts, and that burnout is something that, burnout only exists because we only allow ourselves to take a rest after we're dead.
Right.
And let's see what else is going on relationship-wise. Venus is going to trine Pluto here pretty soon. So, is this person in your close atmosphere? Did you guys break up and get back together? Or is this like a on and off again thing?
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if
there's
when's his birthday? See, 69. It's 7/7/69.
Is it Cancer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my suggestion is, without seeing his chart, because I could get a better idea of what's going on, I really want you to look at any patterns that you're repeating from 2001. And that'll give you the answer about this person. Because a lot of times when we go back and forth like this with people, it's because we're trying to break a cycle. But we're changing. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to work out. It just means that as we keep going back, right? If both sides aren't willing to evolve, then it's not going to work. But also, we're attracted to people that push the right buttons to get us to change in the direction that we kind of are fixed on not changing into. I mean, your sun is in a fixed sign. Your moon is in a fixed sign. I mean, you have blinders on. When you want somebody, you want them.
Yes.
Yes. So, it's time to look at what you want. Not outside of yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like having the same qualities of what you want in a person, and being able to have that within yourself. I'm in the same boat, so I'm not preaching here. You know what I'm saying? We all have our work to do. But you're shortly, because the podcast is just about over. But your North Node is located on your IC. So this is about really finding your roots. This is really about finding your security in the seed of your soul. Not having someone else make you feel comfortable, but finding the comfort within yourself. So your North Node is located in your 4th house at 14 degrees Leo, and the South Node is located in your 10th house at 14 degrees Aquarius.
Okay.
You still there?
Yeah.
So the tonight's show is about North Node, so I didn't know if you wanted to know where it was. But your North Node is in your 4th house in Leo, and your South Node is in your 10th house in Aquarius.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll listen to this again.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, listen, it was wonderful to talk to you, Donna. I've got 60 seconds to sign off. So if you have any questions and you'd like to call back, please feel free to do so next week, or send me an email with any questions at starmedicinePodcast@outlook.com.
Okay. Do you see me pretty healthy, though, Molly?
Oh yeah, I mean the Venus going through your health sector is indicating you being able to identify and start changing your habits. Absolutely, and it will be a pleasant process.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Have a great night. Yeah. Bye bye.
You.
So we actually made it halfway through. So we made it to the 6th house. North Node. So when I come back next week, we will continue with the 7th House North Node. Thank you all so much for joining me this week. Thank you for letting me share my magic. Love to you all. Hi. Oh, why? Did you just leave? I had like 5 callers. God. No, I didn't have any weirdo callers that went, well, you know what? Remember that lady that debated me a couple weeks ago? Yeah, she was but she didn't come on like that. She came on as like her, I'm a spiritual whatever the hell. She didn't even really have a question. I don't, it's fine. But yeah, exactly. But the other two, hi, I'm Sparksy. But the other ones, I looked at their chart and I nailed them, which was really good. I was really happy about that because I like it when people are like, oh my God. Yeah, totally. And the thing that was really gratifying about it, which I really wanted to share with you, was that like, when people realize when I start talking about the eclipses, like I had this woman. Do you mind talking to me about this for a second? Hi. Do you mind talking? You don't mind me chatting to you about this, do you? Okay. So they'll ask me, am I going to be with, what do you see from my relationship, or what do you see from my health, and yada yada yada. So one of the things that I really enjoy doing is, because life is about recognizing when you come across the same resistance over and over again, but only through like different means, then you start to see the lessons that are showing up in your life. And I don't like to use the word lessons. You'll have to help me with your vocabulary to try to find something better to express that. But anyhow, when you see that going over and over again, and it doesn't make sense, but then someone, you ask someone about your relationships, and they tell you to look back to 19 years ago, and all of a sudden they realize that they were with Bobby, Joe, whoever, and he was, and you were doing the same thing that you were doing then that you're doing now. That's what astrology is about. It's about like evolving your soul and like being able to break free of self-destructive patterns of that keep you from not growing. And so it was really gratifying to talk to the people that I did talk to, minus Irene. She's just a nut, but because they realized that in that moment that they actually had some sort of control, not control over the universe, but like they played a part in it. You know what I mean? Like they have the ability to make choices to change their actual outcome because they're identifying patterns. Yeah, it was really interesting. It was very, very, very interesting. So. No, but the other thing is too, and I mean I can vouch for this. You don't know you're in it till you're in it. You know what I mean? Like you really don't. And so, and at some point, you start to realize what's going on because you've done it so many times. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like past life stuff. But you know what I mean? And my eyelid's sore. Like I have a sty in my eye or something, but I don't. I know. Do you have a store where I live? It's been going on for like 3 days. I mean, it's not like pink eye or anything like that. Oh my God! Will you take care of my cats? I don't. That's not a solid shore. That's not a solid shore. Yeah, I don't believe you, Justin Maxwell. Baker will be in the Chinese food place. That's a no. That's a no good. So hey, if you come back tomorrow morning, would you mind grabbing some? Would you mind grabbing some milk at like a gas station? Oh, bummer. Okay. No, it's okay. I think. No, you did? Oh, okay. I was gonna. No, it's fine. Okay, I'll do that. No, I will do that. Because he will get them. He will get them in July, and he will be here. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not mad at you. It's totally fine. Shit, I should have put him in your car. You hit your head on the car door. Are you okay? I'm so sorry. Oh, let me go down and look.